So now I would like to welcome Alexander, who is in the room, and we will now move to a different feedback, a return of experience on SORA methodology by having the experience of a UAS manufacturer and ARPAS operator in Austria. So Alexander, thank you for being here with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, thank you, ARPAS, thank you, Graham, for being able to present here. So I think the short video or presentation from before fits in quite well with what I'm doing here. So we go a little bit more into the practical side of things. We have basically gone through the SORA process in Austria, and that basically based on a practical use case. It's an alpine rescue mission, and so I'm gonna talk you through the process and what we have done here. Can we go to the next slide? So first, a few words about Airborne Robotics, about the project AeroDrop, then the BVLOS legislation and guidelines, defining the BVLOS test track, specific CAD application submission, the project outcome, and some of the takeaways from this project. Next slide, please. Airborne Robotics is a manufacturer of drones. We are based in the UK, in London, and in Basingstoke. So in Basingstoke, we have our test facility. As a group, we have also offices in Austria and in Germany. The track record goes back as a team to 2014. We design, develop, and manufacture drones in specific areas. Some of them, or all of them, are listed here: surveying, in the power sector, also logistics and agriculture. So drones come in different shapes and colors. Our drones look like this. The Air 8 medium lifter is our flagship drone, which can mount up to 10 kilos of payload. The flight durations up to 60 minutes, and we have fully redundant systems. So that's quite important. As an Austrian manufacturer, redundancy has been playing quite an important role in the drone life. And since 2014, redundant systems were required if there is some kind of population basically involved, or some kind of build-up zone. Only if you have a redundant system, you can apply for that. Nowadays, you would say specific category, but back then it was an exemption. Next slide, please. Project AeroDrop is basically a BVLOS drone rescue operation in the alpine environment. To give a little bit on the background, we are looking at this southern region of Austria. It's very close to the Slovenian border. In this micro region, there are about 70 emergency calls every year in this, I would say, alpine region. And most of the causes for these emergency calls are sudden cardiac arrest, which you probably might know. It's just the most frequent case if there's an emergency. And so for rescue teams, if they have to move out, it takes them 60 to 90 minutes by car and about 25 minutes by helicopter. On the other hand, a patient needs to be treated within 6 to 8 minutes in order to prevent sustained health issues. So there's almost no chance to rescue the patient. And that's a little bit the core of our project, to deliver an AED with a drone on time. And so we have started off with one of our Air 8 drones equipped with a SATCOM module, which is on standby. Then the sudden cardiac arrest is imitated. So a real emergency call goes into the emergency call center. With the call, also the coordinates are transmitted automatically, and from that call center we get then our pilot got the information about the drop-off place. The drone was started, the AED dropped off. On the location, there were bystanders who would assist with the medical procedures. We have conducted 29 flights in total, 15 with professional paramedics from the Red Cross, and 14 flights with totally coincidental, basically hikers who passed by, so that were not students from the universities who were involved or any friends and family. Was really coincidental people who passed by here. And then we analyzed the technical, medical, and also the logistics objectives. The ultimate aim is to have a drone stationary from 2024 onwards in order to assist in remote rescue missions. Next slide, please. So looking at the BVLOS application process, some of you might be familiar with this document. It's a 320-page document. Basically, there's the Article 11, and then you have the acceptable means of compliance. And within them, there is the SORA. We've heard about that SORA point 2. SORA 2.5 is currently in preparation. And then the CONOPS, which is going to be called operator manual. So those are a little bit the background of the process. Next slide. The application process starts off with defining the operational footprint. That's the way we have done it. So you can see on the right side an open field. That's our start. Then it goes up over a mountain ridge, and we have real BVLOS here, so beyond visual line of sight. It's basically over the horizon, so no direct radio link would work in this case, which was important for us because we wanted to test also comms redundancy, and so that's a perfect test track for us. Next slide. With regards to the SORA process, we have heard before, it's a 10-step process. Some of you might be familiar with the chart here. It starts off with the CONOPS and then goes into the ground risk. In our case, so I have to double this side. The basic the SORA mitigation set is button of this really, and BVLOS we basically what specified procedure for 2, and this is my understanding is that SAIL 1 and 2 is basically overseen by the national authorities. Otherwise, it would go to the EASA. So in that case, we were lucky it's SAIL 2. After having determined that, there are 24 OSOs which are required to be addressed. And then there's step 9 and 10, which is adjacent areas and the comprehensive safety portfolio. So this is a process which for us was totally new and which requires quite a bit of work. It is something you have to do, you have to go through. The experience we had is it's actually quite a good process to go through, but you obviously have to have the time, you have to have the resources to do it. Next slide. Those are the output documents: application form, annex, a SORA document, a ConOps document, both around 100 pages. Next slide. And this slide gives us a little bit, I know it's complex, but it gives you a little bit of an overview of the time scale of it. Interesting, we have started in September by asking the Austria control, which is the local authority, would the standard scenario 2 be feasible for our case, which looked perfect because it kind of fits perfect for the use case. And the reply was, no, it's not possible because there are CE certified drones required and they are only available in 2023. It's fine, so we have to go through the individual SORA. We have then shelved this topic for a few months, but had also at the same time to dig a little bit deeper and have started the process on the 6th of April in 2022 with the first consultation. It's a 1-hour session with the Austria control. And at that session, we came quite prepared. So basically, the ConOps was in place, and we have also started already with the SORA. And so we were able to hand in the document from that first consultation within 2 weeks. And then you can see it's quite interesting. There's 27 days which pass by, and we only get a confirmation of receipt and the case number 27 days later, which turned out to be that the application email ended in the spam folder for a few times. So that's for us the first lesson learned, always to follow up, even if probably US regulator would say, if you don't get an answer, then it hasn't been it's not yet slotted for response. But we think it's always good to follow up, and it's always good if there's a possibility that there's a telephone number directly to the team, because it can happen, and apparently it happened 3 times that it goes into the spam folder and wasn't basically hasn't gone through the process. Then that was the great thing. Also control recognized, okay, there's some time has passed. They apologized and said, okay, let's catch up. And the process was really fast then. So we had basically the confirmation on the 17th. We had the first feedback already on the 19th. On the 27th, we were able to schedule a second consultation for 30 minutes. And then on the 31st of May, we handed in the revision. On the same day, we got the feedback of this revision. So that was perfect. So we could basically finally submit 2 days later. And on the 3rd already, the Austria control came back and said that the taking of evidence is basically finalized, and they send us a draft of the final approval for review. So that was perfect. And then, funnily enough, another 27 days passed by until we got the approval letter in the post. So there's 2 periods which, in our view, could be faster, but in overall, the process was very, very good and very smooth and very fast. Next slide, please. So this gives you another view of the test track. You see again, it's about it's 2 kilometers long, goes up the mountain ridge, and we've summarized here the findings. On the technical side, we think that in particular for those kind of cases, SATCOM is a key. We were able to test different systems, so we could test GEO and LEO. Video is essential. I think that's a very important point going forward. Even in the lowest quality and with some latency, video is important. I won't go through the medical things, although there is one thing which is quite interesting, that even between the paramedics, there was a huge range of quality of how they assisted. And so that was basically analyzed from the medical university. And does anybody want to guess what the most frequent error was by the bystanders? Have you got an idea? So the most frequent error was that while the drone was landing, so they forgot to keep pumping and doing basically the first aid. So that's a massive mistake, but it just happens. So you can be a professional in that sense, and it still happens. Yeah, so those some of the images we have taken. We did a demonstrator event with about 45 paramedics there. Next slide, please. There's a short video summarizing the
In a collaborative project, we at S6 Systems have developed a compact delivery drone system with a defibrillator, which is used in medical emergencies within the alpine environment. For this purpose, we have established and received Austria control approval for a drone BVLOS test track in Austria, Carinthia. For this project, 3 different aspects were investigated. Firstly, next generation BVLOS technology, which focuses around communication redundancy, video and data transmission, and feasibility of the end-to-end autonomy. Next, logistic aspects, in particular, the speed of delivery and how to handle the process between emergency calls and defibrillator intervention. Lastly, medical aspects and the likely success in a real-world scenario. The results make a compelling case for drone operations. In most cases, this is the only viable solution to deliver an AED to the emergency site on time.
I think that goes without saying to prepare thoroughly, because I don't know if it's the same here in the UK, but in Austria, each consultation costs money. So if you want to get some out of it, preparation is good. Most delays can be avoided. We have talked about that, in particular about following up. On the technical side, we have, for us, found out that apart from the diligent preparation and having all the operations in place, simulation is a great tool. And I think that's something which is only developing now and is getting better and better. We have built up a simulation platform, which basically is a digital twin of our test track there. And the great thing of simulation is you can play through every single item, every technical, every operational aspect on the screen, and for hundreds of thousands times you can train it. You can you can test the communication redundancy, any other redundancy. So we almost think it is much better than most of the parts of SORA or any other, let's say, risk mitigation measures, because here you can really you can play it through, you can test it, you can improve it, and then you can one-to-one apply it on the actual drone, and you have a full technical and also digital twin. For us, this is basically the way forward. We have built it up for this. For our test track, we've built it up for offshore wind farms, and it gives also customers the confidence that whatever you are planning, here this how it looks like, how it's going to work, what happens if this and that happens, and gives you basically a demonstration of how you do it. Excellent. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you very much.